Okay, so what I'm going to do today is just do a really short tutorial on how to create a word count function in JavaScript using the prototype framework, or the prototype library rather. Basically, Twitter, it lets you know how many characters you have. You start out with 140 when you've typed. It tells you how many characters that you have typed thus far, and how many characters you have left, rather. And when you get to 20, it changes color, and when you get down to 10, it changes to an even a richer red. And so we're going to try and do that real quick with JavaScript and prototype. Alright, so I have created just a really quick, basic, easy little forms text area that we can test this out on. And I'm just calling in prototype from Google APIs because it's really easy to do. If you are unfamiliar with prototype, it is a wonderful JavaScript library, and you can read more about it at prototypejs.org, I believe, or com. Well, if all else fails, you could search for it in Google. Okay, so what I have here is a text area. Just a simple text area with a name and an ID. Since we're going to be accessing the value from prototype, it needs to have an ID. I've given it a name and ID of tweet because, well, we're modeling it after Twitter after all. So we've got that. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to create a function called word count. You can obviously name it whatever you would like, but I'm going to call it word count. And the first thing I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set a limit. I'm going to say my limit is 50 because it will be easier to test with 50 rather than 140, so I don't have to type in 140 characters to test it. So my limit is 50, and then I'm going to, I need to get the number of characters that you've entered so far. So I'm going to create a variable called count, and I'm going to assign to it the number of characters in tweet. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use prototype's get value. If you aren't using prototype, you're just using JavaScript, then you could obviously do get element by ID and value. But I'm going to go ahead and do get value. Then I'm going to get the length of that so I can find out exactly how many characters you have entered. So that's that right there. So count. So now this is going to tell me how many characters have been entered. Right now, 0 characters have been entered, obviously. So next, I'm going to create a quick document.observe, which is using the prototype observe method. And I'm going to do DOM loaded. If you don't know what that is, it's similar to body on load or variations like that. Basically, what it does is once the page is fully loaded, it runs whatever function you give it. And I'm going to, we're going to pass it, or we're going to give it word count. So now, as soon as the project loads, or the page loads, we're going to run word count, which is going to get the number of characters that have been entered, which obviously is 0, and then it's going to display it right here. Now, obviously, we don't have anything here right now, just yet, so we need to create a place to put that. You can do this however you want. Obviously, you could put it below, you could put it anywhere. However, I'm going to do it similar to Twitter, so I'm going to put a span here, and I'm going to name it, just for easy remembering, I'm going to name it tweet count, since it will be holding the count. And then just to style it similarly to Twitter, I'm going to float it right. So that way it'll end up over here. Right now, as you can see, even though we're running this word count, we haven't put anything in it yet. So let's do that. So here, I'm going to access tweet count, and I'm going to update it, which is another prototype function that basically is going to insert text right here. And I'm going to update it with my limit minus my count. And what that is going to do obviously it's going to take however many characters have been entered, and it's going to subtract that from 50, and so it's going to put it up there. So right now, since nothing has been entered, we've got 50. Now if we go back to this and we type something, obviously it's not going to change because we haven't created we're not observing the characters yet. So let's do that real quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an observe, to tweet, which is our text area. So let's observe. We want to observe key up. So every time you've entered a character and then let up, it'll run the word count function and will update tweet count with the proper number of characters. So to do that, we're going to do a function, and we're just going to simply run word count. So now, every time you key up, every time you've entered a character into the form, it's going to run word count again, because that's what this observe does. It watches it, and every time there's a key up, it runs word count. So now, if we go back to our form, you can see that it is now updating with my character count. So there you go. But it doesn't turn red like Twitter. So let's do that. Let's add that real quick. So let's say, let's do a conditional statement. And let's say if our count is greater than 40, say greater than or equal to 40, let's add a style of just a dark red to our tweet count. So to do that, we're going to use prototype set style, and we're going to set a style of color, just a dark red, which is DD0000. All right, let's test that out. Well, there you go. Look at that. If I go over, then we can see right here that I've gone over. And that is about it. There are a few other things we could do if you wanted to make this more portable. Then you could call word count. You could actually, let's say, you could give it the limit and what text area. So we could say element and limit, and then we could erase that, and our limit here would be, we would pass to it, and then our element we would also pass to it, and we could well, I'm not going to do that. Let's just do it like this, element and limit. And so here with word count, instead of just word count, we could say tweet, which is our text area, and we give it a limit of, let's say, 140, just like Twitter. I want to do it on both of these, since you're both calling the same function. And let's go ahead and give this a, let's make this limit minus 10. So now, if we go back, we should have 140. And that concludes this tutorial. I hope it helps you. Thanks for watching.